We all use electricity every day, but it is at great cost to natural resources, the environment, and arguably the health and safety of citizens. In Coal River Valley, West Virginia, there is a passionate group of residents trying to stop big coal corporations from the devastating practice of mountaintop removal. Award-winning director and producer Bill Haney made a movie about their fight, and it is called The Last Mountain. It premiered this weekend in theaters in New York and Los Angeles. I sat down with Haney and asked how he became aware of what was going on.
Well, I read an article that Bobby Kennedy Jr. wrote, and it outlined this kind of Homeric scale destruction of the landscape taking place in Appalachia, where the equivalent of a Hiroshima bomb has been used every week for the last 10 years to destroy 500 mountains in an area the size of Delaware, 1.4 million acres of land. And I went to take a look.
What did you find there?
I found, in effect, the coal mining industry created a set of loopholes into the law when the Bush administration came in that allowed them wholesale destruction of a landscape that we commonly as Americans think of as our kind of biological heritage and is the cultural center of, blues music and roots music and Daniel Boone and Davy Crockett. And probably more importantly, I found these extraordinary Americans who were standing up to fight against this wide-scale destruction.
What are the political implications and political responsibilities? You mentioned George Bush. Should President Obama outright outlaw so-called strip mining or abolishing all mountaintop removal? Should he be doing that?
Yes. Not all strip mining, perhaps, but what he certainly should do is to force the mining companies to comply with existing federal law. That means the Clean Water Act, the Clean Air Act, RCRA, mine safety standards, many of which are being violated by the hundreds of thousands. In fact, as a simple example, the company at the centerpiece of our film, which is called Massey Coal, is self-reported north of 65,000 violations of the Clean Water Act in one 5-year period alone. I think that the federal government needs to force people to comply with the law.
What about this argument that while we can all sit back and say it's terrible, at the end of the day, we use electricity, we run air conditioners, obviously on electricity, but that coal lets us live our lives?
Well, the coal industry has two primary arguments in favor of their practices. The first is what you're discussing now. Coal is what keeps the lights on. And it's true, half of the electricity in America comes from coal. And the coal industry would like us to believe that the only way we as Americans can power our lives is with this 17th century practice of basically burning rock. But it's not true. In fact, America has the largest wind potential of the free world. We're the Saudi Arabia of wind. The wind in just 3 states with today's technology could power the entire country. The mining industry's second argument is that we need to support these miners and their families. And of course, all of us as Americans feel that way. We feel sensitivity for them. But what's actually happened in the last 25 years is they've used the mining industry's used explosives and big machinery, to take the number of jobs in West Virginia as an example from 150,000 to 15,000. And the average worker pay has dropped and the benefits have dropped. So you have now $15 an hour, people after 30 years work going underground for 16 hours in very treacherous conditions. Meanwhile, the employment in the wind industry alone, not even all green jobs, just the wind industry, has soared. So last year, not only did America, for the first time in its history, build more renewable power than all the incumbents combined, so more wind and solar than oil and natural gas, coal and nuclear.
With fewer subsidies.
With fewer subsidies and less health consequences and less environmental consequences. But there are more jobs today in the wind industry than there are in coal mining.
What is a win for you, Bill, in this situation? I mean, how many people do you want to see this film? I guess everybody in the United States, but what's the end goal here?
Well, I want to make a dramatically engaging, inspiring movie. I want all of us to enjoy it as viewers and to kind of get a sense if these folks which they have, fight the dominant industry in their state to a standstill, then all the rest of us, if we're willing to stand up and be counted, can make the changes in our community we want to. And then second, I want us to reconsider a new energy economy that can create millions of new jobs, power this country for a long time to come, and be the foundation for a whole new economy for this country, and take us into the 21st century instead of holding on to the 17th century like we desperately need it.
Massey Coal featured as a destructive force in the movie. Bloomberg called and emailed the company for comments. We have not heard back. We also reached out to Alpha Natural Resources. This is the company that bought Massey last week, and we got no response.